So transaction audits. A transactions audit aims to detect fraud within accounting systems records. So whatever transactions happen, they are recorded, they are always recorded. And today we are not using manual systems, we are using computerized systems. So when the transactions audit is done, they try to see whether there is no fake transaction which has taken place, no fictitious customers have been created in case of sale and purchase, like in case of sale purchase transactions. So they try to detect fraud in this way and uses only substantive tests. Already have explained about substantive tests, whether all the operations which have been performed properly or not. This is about that. Sometimes the term probity. So yesterday we have done substantive test, right? When conducting substantive tests, the internal auditor is examining figures which they have extracted directly from company's financial records. For this sort of test, the audit is concerned only with establishing whether or not the figure in the ledger account is correct. So they are checking whether what they are showing in the books is right or not. So substantive test they do, and they see whether the transactions which have been recorded in the books really happened or not, and if it has if the transactions have happened and in reality they have happened and have been recorded, then there's no problem, everything is all right. If not, then there's definitely the probe has to be made, and then definitely there's a chance of fraud happening. So sometimes the term probity is used to describe the need for honesty in this context, meaning that internal auditors are looking for instances of records that are not a fair reflection of what has actually happened. So they want to look into records and they want to check whether really everything is all right or not, or whatever is shown really in reality in the books is really has happened or not. They want to establish this. Accountability of internal audit. So ideally, the internal audit department should report to audit committee of the board of directors. Okay, so the internal audit department is under the audit committee. The audit committee makes sure that all the internal audits have to be performed. So ideally, the internal audit department should report to audit committee of the board of directors. So audit committee has board of directors as the members, as it is then free to access all parts of organization and report on all levels of management, which ensures that its recommendations are implemented. So audit is like, they are directly informing to the directors. So, they have to check everything, all levels of management. They have to undergo the audits, and also the recommendations what they give is like, very important. So the UK Corporate Governance Code FRC 2018 states that companies without an internal audit function should provide an explanation for the absence, described how internal assurance is achieved and how this affects the work of external audit. So UK Corporate Governance Code, what they have done, it states that companies without an internal audit function, the company which is not having the internal audit function at all, should provide an explanation for the absence why the internal audit is not there in their organization, and describe how internal assurance is achieved. So that's what, like, if you're not having an audit department, you're not performing audits in your company, then how will you assure your shareholders that everything is all right? And how this affects the work of external audit? See, external auditors always, what happen is whatever the internal audits happen, the reports are given to the external auditors, and the auditor then checks and examines everything, and then they give their opinion, right? But if there's no internal audit, then what? Then what? The external auditors should do the job of internal auditors? Is that possible? So these are the questions. Generally, the roles are different, right? Internal audit is done internally. External auditor is the practitioner who comes and conducts the audit. Now, the need for internal audit will depend on what? The scale, at what scale the company is operating, the diversity of operations, the complexity of company's activities, number of employees, cost benefit considerations, changes in the organizational structures, reporting processes or underlying information systems, changes in key risks, problems with internal control systems, an increased number of unexplained or unacceptable events. So when all this you see, there is a need for internal audit, which is seen here. Okay. Now, just a second. Given an acceptable line of responsibility and clear terms of authority, it is vital that the internal auditor is and is seen to be independent. So the internal auditor is and should be thought as independent. Internal audit requires a highly professional approach, which is objective, detached, and honest. So they should have a very strong and very high professional approach, and that should be the objective what they should have. They should be working very honestly, and they should not be, they should be kind of detached. They should be doing their work independently, not under anyone's pressure. Independence is a fundamental concept of auditing, and this applies just as much as the internal auditor as to external auditor. The internal auditor should not install new procedures or systems. Neither they should they engage in any activity which they would normally appraise, as this compromise their independence. That means they should not be, putting any such system whereby they should be doing certain things and they should be praising themselves. It is not possible, right? There can be a compromise to their independence, and that's what they're saying. The internal auditors, there shouldn't be any kind of systems or procedures, like neither should they engage in any activity which they would normally appraise. See, internal auditor is doing, suppose let's say I am performing certain I'm making certain accounts, okay, and I am only auditing that. So where will I, be like picking my mistakes, or where would I be kind of finding faults? I'll always try to appraise myself, but it should not be happening. You should, whatever work you do, the third party should see, and they should kind of do the appraisal, not you yourself. So that can be a kind of compromise with their independence. Next comes the next most important function, the external audit. So external audit, as you know, many of the people know that it is nothing but a periodic examination, usually at the end of the year, of the books of account and records of an entity, carried out by an independent third party auditor, to ensure that they have been properly maintained and are accurate and comply with the established concepts, principles, accounting standards, and legal requirements, and give a true and fair view of the financial state of the entity. So what points you have seen? First, periodic examination of books of accounts and records of an entity, carried out by independent third party, the auditor, the practitioner, the chartered accountant, to ensure that they have been properly maintained. So they will come and see whether all the records are intact and accurate, and they don't have any kind of errors, and all the concepts have been followed, principles have been followed, standards have been followed to make them, and also the legal requirements have been followed. All the compliances have been made, and it gives a true and fair view of the financial state of the entity. That is what they will be checking. If all things are right, that's okay. Next, the primary purpose of an external audit is to review the books and records in order to give a professional opinion. So the primary purpose of an external audit is to what? Review the books and records in order to give a professional opinion on whether the financial statements represent a true and fair view of the organization. So see, they are the one who are going to do the audits and review the books of accounts and records, and they are going to give a professional opinion on whether the financial statements are true and fair of the organization, like they are true and everything is already in that. It is usually a legal requirement, and for listed companies, an essential part of complying with the stock market regulations. So every listed company has to get their statements audited because that is what the regulator wants them to do. Because lot of money of the outsiders or the people or the shareholders is involved in the company. Hence, the shareholders would definitely like to know the performance of the company at the end of the year, and that too, they want to know the true and fair view. So we will see some differences between internal and external auditors. Audits reason, add value and improve organization's operations. Of course, they will be checking the companies like things, companies, all the functionalities and the records and everything internally. That would be sending a message to the stakeholders that everything in the company is happening and they are vigilant about things and they have a strong control system. Will add value to the company, right, and improve the operations. Express an opinion on the financial statements. That is what is their job to do. Reporting to, they report to board of directors because generally that's what is that they do to the audit committee, and audit committee has director. They report to the shareholders or members of the company. That's what. So work relating to operations of the organization, financial statements. Relationship with company. They are employees of the company. They are independent of the company and its management. And sometimes the employee is not necessary that internal audit department should be there. That can be given to someone else also to do. That is, that can be outsourced. Some third party can come and do this. Okay. Now we have seen this table. The table above shows that while some of the work may be similar, the whole basis and reasoning of their work is fundamentally different. This is emphasized by the difference in objectives and internal audit having a much wider scope than narrow, true and fair view. That external auditors are responsible for providing an opinion. So you have seen this and you yourself can decide like how these are very important functionalities. They have the objective is the same, that true and fair view should be seen, and for that only the external auditors are giving an opinion, right? There should be coordination between the internal and external auditors to ensure that duplication of work is minimized and controls enhanced. So similar work should not be done by them, and controls, strong control should be there in the company. This can be achieved by meetings and shared access to testing techniques and working papers. Evaluation of internal audit function. If the external auditors can rely to an extent on the work of internal audit department, they will have to do less testing themselves. Yeah, if things are very good in the company and internal audits are conducted thoroughly and all and regularly, so external, the burden of the external auditors is reduced, right? They have to just make the judgment now. So organizational status, internal audit specific status in the organization and the effect this has on its ability to be objective. Scope of internal audit functions, the nature and the extent of assignments which internal audit performs, and whether management and the directors act on internal audit recommendations. That shows the importance and also the evaluation of the function. In the organization, they have a very specific status, and the effect this has on its ability to be, whether they are on their target to perform audits. And scope of internal audit functions, the nature and extent of organizations, the nature and extent of assignments which internal audit performs, and whether management and the directors act on internal audit recommendations. That's what has to be seen. If that's happening, then they have a very good demand, or they have they have like they're considered very seriously, it seems. Now, technical competence, whether internal audit work is performed by persons having adequate technical training and proficiency, is very important to be seen. Only experienced and expertise people should do this. And due professional care, whether internal audit work is properly planned, supervised, reviewed and documented, whether all these things, whether to do a internal audit planning is happen, they plan and supervise and then they review and everything they document. Okay. So in relation to audited financial statements, the financial reporting review panel is responsible for monitoring the use of accounting standards in published financial statements and for examining and questioning the departure from accounting standards by large companies. So they have to ensure that all the standards are properly followed and and the statements are prepared by following the standards. Next, give me a second. Cyber risk, cyber attacks, and cyber security. Next topic, cyber risk. This is the term that covers a number of organizational risks which are possible consequence of a cyber attack. Yeah, see, a cyber attack is nothing but hacking the entire computer system, hacking the most important files, getting unauthorized access to some of the crucial documents which are preserved and shouldn't be leaked. So that is cyber risk, risk of an attack. Cyber attack is the, in reality, someone has tried to damage or had made some deliberate attempts to damage an organization by using the internet to take advantage of poor security controls and system integrity. Cyber security is nothing but the one, it should be something which is protecting the systems and risk of cyber attack through the use of hardware and software security procedures and controls. Now, let's deeply understand this cyber risk. Cyber risk factors could include the following: financial losses. Because of this, some kind of losses company can incur. Some fines they have to pay for non-compliance with relevant laws and regulations if they are not following the guidelines related to cyber laws, whereby the companies are asked to have a very strong mechanism of security in their company. If they are taking this very leniently, that they don't have cyber security cell or some department, then it's not complying with laws. Reputational damage, including loss of custom. Operational disruption, that means now whatever the trading, whatever they were doing online is like disrupted. Online trading cannot happen. If they want to sell goods to someone, they cannot sell now. Cyber attacks, phishing. The cyber attacker sends emails to the victim which appear to be from a trusted source. For example, a bank leading the victim to divulge sensitive information using false pretenses. That's what they will send a mail and try to take a lot of data from you, and you will be giving that data without really understanding whether it is from a reliable source or the source which you trust. Farming. This is not FAR, this is PHAR. So cyber attacker targets an organization's website by automatically redirecting visitors from the organization's website to a bogus website and collecting their data without their knowledge or approval. Very, very cunning. Then they hack. That means stealing the data. Cyber attacker uses specialist software and the tools to gain unauthorized access to an organization's computer system, either to obtain data or to stop the system working altogether. Distributed denial of service. DDoS attack. The cyber attacker attempts to disrupt an organization's online activities by preventing people from accessing the organization's website. Botnets, large number of individual computers which have been taken over without the user knowing, are instructed to overwhelm the organization's website and a wave of internet traffic so that the system is unable to handle it and may cause it to crash. That's what. Webcam manager. The cyber attacker uses software to take control of users' webcam. File hijacker, ransomware. Cyber attacker gains access to user system to hijack their files and hold them to ransom. That means asking money and giving them back. Key logging. The cyber attacker plants software into user's computer to record what the user types onto their keyboard. So what they do, they plant some software in the computer and to record what the user types onto their keyboard. So with that, they can know the passwords, right? Very usually what is typed many a times, and they can gain access to confidential information. Then screenshot manager. Cyber attacker obtains information from the victim by installing software into user's computer to enable screenshots of the computer screen to be taken. Like other cyber attacks, the purpose can be to steal information, funds, or may even be to perform corporate espionage, theft. Ad clicker. The cyber attacker plants a program on victim's machine that directs it to automatically click on specific AdWords on a website to earn commission for website's owner. Cyber security. This is the protection of systems from the risk of cyber attack through the use of hardware and software security procedures and controls. Common cyber security measures include cyber security method and description, access control. These are physical and network procedures to restrict access to a system. Yes, Should not be giving access to anyone to the system and restricting people from using the system. Only the authorized ones can do that. Boundary firewalls and internet gateways. Firewalls and internet gateways are software protection that intercept data being transmitted in and out of system. Malware and virus protection. Malware protection software prevents installation and removes suspicious programs and viruses from a system, like Trojan horse. That means that will be detecting the files and removing the virus files or virus. Patch management. This is a system procedure rather than a hardware or software solution. The organization should, that means bug fix. The organization should ensure that the latest software updates are installed on the system when available. Secure configuration. The organization should have a policy which states that systems should be set up with cyber security as a priority. Next comes the information technology system security. So there's an activity threats to system and data, suggests some physical environment threats to IT systems and data. We have studied everything. So this is not about the online threat. This is about the physical environmental threats like flood, earthquake. Okay. So flooding, earthquakes, tsunamis can also be very dangerous for the data what you store, and can also spoil the data and the IT systems, right? So it is important that IT systems are secure and protect the data and information that they process and store. Security refers to technical issues related to computer system, psychological and behavioral factors in the organization and its employees. The protection against the unpredictable occurrences of natural world. That is, security can be categorized as follows: prevention, natural calamities happen, right? So prevention, it is in practice impossible to prevent all threats caused effectively, of course. Detection techniques are often combined with prevention techniques. A log can be maintained of unauthorized attempts to gain access to a computer system. Deterrence, an example: computer misuse by personnel can be made grounds for disciplinary action. So you can stop, you can prevent, you can detect, you can stop the person from doing that by punishing them. Recovery procedures: if the threat occurs, its consequences can be contained. For example, checkpoint programs. Correction procedures: these ensure the vulnerability is dealt with. For example, by instituting stricter controls and threat avoidance. This might mean changing the design of the system altogether. Physical access controls seek to prevent intruders accessing the IT systems and include security and other staff who can act as gatekeepers. Door locks you can keep. Punch card systems, whereby you can kind of swipe the card, and you can biometrics you can access, and then intruder alarms. So computer theft is an increasing problem as equipment becomes smaller and more portable, while the loss of physical asset is a concern. So the loss of data stored on computer may cause a bigger problem. Sometimes the entire machinery or computer itself is not that important as the data is. If you lose your phone, you're not worried about the loss of money. I'm not saying that. If I prioritize, the first priority will be the data which you lose, and second the money, right? So that important, the data is that important. This activity, just you can read this activity. They're asking you, you are the chief accountant at your company. Your department located in an open plan office, have 5 network desktop PCs and 3 laser printers. You have just read an article suggesting that the best form of security is to lock hardware away in fireproof cabinets, but you feel this is impracticable. So now you want to secure and save your computers, right? So they are asking to recommend some alternative security measures which you could adopt to protect the hardware in your department. So this is what you have to answer. Next. There are how many topics? Just a second. Yeah, next. Building controls into an information system. Controls can be built into an IT system and they can be classified as follows. Security, integrity, contingency. Security is to prevent risk. Integrity to exist to ensure conformity of system operation to design specification. That all the operations are working as per the designed specifications or plans. And contingency in future if some uncertain thing can happen, then what to do. So this will exist to recover the system in event of systems failure. So there's a activity here, security measures. Can you just try to answer? I'm waiting. This activity we have to do. Come on. Hello, please participate. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Please participate. Give an example of each of the securities given below and suggest a suitable control. Yes. Hello. Are you going through this question?
Yes, sir.
If you, yeah. So try to answer. Tell me the answers.
Example for human error must be not paying attention.
Yeah, it can be.
Or else sometimes people panic also, panicking in a crisis, something like
Yeah.
that.
Like human error can be to input error. That means they won't record something, right, at times.
Yes, sir.
And control is like system limitation on acceptable entries. So they can limit some they can limit the system to acceptable entries only. Erroneous entries will not be taken into consideration. Malfunctioning hardware or software, that means only the wanted data will be taken, unwanted will be rejected. Breakdown due to poor treatment. That means you're not properly taking care. Proactive maintenance and user education is required. Natural disasters. Fire in office containing systems and data. Fire. What you can do, you can have offsite backup and physical controls, right?
Yes, sir.
So if this happens, sometimes you know that, so you can prevent your files. Then someone is trying to do something deliberately, fraud. You can divide the duties. Commercial espionage, that means insider dealing. Now, what is espionage meaning? If you can answer my question. Hello. Hello. What is
Hello,
the
yes,
meaning
sir.
of espionage?
The practice of spying.
Yeah, so some kind of spying done to obtain some information. So system monitoring. Malicious damage, someone trying to do something with some malicious intent, like trying to put some virus or other malware, antivirus. Industrial actions, strike if the laborers are on strike, maintain good relations with staff. Okay, so today we will stop here. We will continue from here in the next class, and next session will be the end of the chapter. Okay, and we will immediately go for the next chapter. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you.